All right, Helaine, we just got the room opened up here for today's show, an edition of Trade of the Day Live. Welcome, everybody. Really excited to have you here. Obviously, another consequential day for markets. Helaine, we have a lot to talk about, particularly, surrounding yesterday's trading session. I know we have some commentary around that. We put some posts out there on social media with that. Definitely want to hop into that. Look at some of the market internals as we have been, because I think that's a really good look into what this market is doing. And of course,
Mhm.
hop into our trade ideas, and then also, too, most importantly, start hopping in to everybody else's trade ideas and tickers that you all brought. So make sure to have those queued up, everybody. Really excited to hear which tickers you want us to look at later on. But all that said, Helaine, welcome in. Happy Tuesday. Excited
Happy
to
to,
be here.
yeah, I'm excited to be here too, Blane. Let's get into it.
Yeah, absolutely, too. I just want to first also just shout out some of our regulars. I see Dave, I see Dell, Frank, I see
Leo.
Leo, John. Welcome in, everybody. Really excited to have you all here. Go ahead and say hey in the chat if you're tuned in and listening. Thank you so much for being here in the room live with us. But with that, I'm going to go ahead, open up the share here, and we can hop into our first chart because I know, of course, we have some commentary, around just the market and the trading action here recently. So,
Mhm.
Helaine, of course, we have the chart of the S&P 500 here pulled up. We've been very, on top of the moves here lately. Talking about, kind of the breakdown we've had, at the headline index. It's also, of course, certainly, affecting the equally weighted index, regardless of which of the major U.S. indexes you're looking at, they kind of all having the same story here of late. But, we're focused here on the S&P right now. That's just kind of the one we always like to look at, of course, as many of our regulars know. But continuing to see that series of lower lows and lower highs. That's very clear. We did have a pretty nasty sell-off through Wednesday, starting Wednesday through Friday of last week. We got back to pretty short-term oversold session, much like we had done the week prior. So very similar setup, just like as we came into last week. We were short-term oversold. You can see that as our 5-day RSI. Got way below 30. It got all the way actually down below 20. So it kind of set us up for a bit of a short-term bounce heading into the week. So we got that last week. Ultimately, ended up seeing the index sell off a bit further and got right back down pretty quickly, to that oversold in the very short term status. So again, it was a very similar setup lane coming into this week, and that's exactly what we saw yesterday. We saw yesterday's
Yeah.
action. We were up about 1% on the S&P. Of course, everybody likes to see the indexes up as a long-term investor. From that perspective. But other than that, there was a lot of things that we really did not like about the session yesterday. It was really kind of uninspiring. We closed
Blane,
just near the
Blane,
session lows. What were you going to say, Helaine?
before we get into that, can you zoom in so we can see the price action a little bit better? It's really
Sure
tough
thing.
to really break down, those last
Yeah.
days.
Absolutely. Let me tighten into a 3 month time frame here. You probably can see a little bit better. So,
Okay.
of course, there was Wednesday through Friday of last week. We broke through some really key levels of support there. Closed way below the lower counter channel. Again, that was setting us up for that, short term oversold, get the oversold bounce heading into the week. And so you can see yesterday's session right here. So, we opened higher, of course. We rallied up earlier in the day, ultimately ended up finding some really, a high level of resistance. The buyers wouldn't keep buying up the market any further than there, and ultimately ended up closing near the lows of the session there, Helene, which sets up, for a bar, a candle, which printed on the charts yesterday, something that we like to track quite closely. Helene, do you kind of want to comment around that?
Yeah, absolutely. What we saw was a bearish hammer. That's what we saw there yesterday. And what does that mean? It means we opened for the day, we traded higher, but then that rally completely lost steam. We dipped right back down to the lows of the day. So the open and the close are both near the low for the day. It just shows that we had a failed rally, right? If it were to be a successful rally, we would be closing near the highs, but that's
Mhm.
not what happened here. We closed near the lows. That is going to be what we would consider a failed rally, that bearish hammer that we would say is going to most likely mean that we're going to trade lower in the short term.
Yep, exactly right. Yeah, so we saw that yesterday, and really all of the U.S. major indexes had the exact same thing yesterday. Helene, we had you had that intraday rally. It fizzled out. It failed, closed near the lows of the session. So we put out some pieces yesterday. Some social media posts saying, "Hey, don't trust this rally. We really don't think that we're going to be up tomorrow." There's been just about an hour ago, the markets did try to get constructive and kind of all just moderately turn green. I think all of them are back now in the red, just, moderately. But again, you can see the range that we've traded in here today, Helaine. Most of it's been, in the negative here. Most of it's been below the closing point of yesterday. You can see that just with, we opened lower. Most of the trading is taking place down there. And, seems like we're heading back lower yet again. So, just from a technical perspective here at the index level, Helaine, nothing so far. I mean, we're still having this very clearly defined line of resistance here above the markets. It had been the 20-day EMA here, the middle counter channel. It's actually lower than that. So, it's not even trading up to the middle counter channel anymore. It's just kind of, if you just follow these series of lower highs down, you can see where the index continues to find overhead resistance there. So we haven't been able to crack that level of overhead resistance yet. We have again broken some longer dating support levels, that we were certainly hoping to see the market be able to hold and stay above. We did break down below the 200-day moving average. So technically, I think Helaine, I think all the signs still point that there's probably some further downside to go.
Yeah, Blane, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I don't see a reason why we would rally or be, in this correction bottoming out. There are just too many variables right now. It does look like when you just zoomed out that we are nearing that support that was last seen. When was that, Blane?
Yeah, so we took it out on Friday. We have popped back up above it. So it's the November low from last year, which is very close also to the October low from that date there. So we are back up above that level now. So, we failed the test on Friday. We've popped back above it here. We'll see throughout the rest of the week if that level holds. It seems that the market's kind of grappling with that level right now, but we already have punctured it. Again, still we haven't seen really any sustained momentum to the upside. So what that would tell me is that we are likely to continue to break down below it, but still remains to be seen. So we're still above it for right now, but certainly still a level that we're watching pretty closely. And again, it's roughly, call it 65.30 is roughly about where that closing low dating back to November is. So you can see we traded down through it today, bounced off of it. But certainly a level we're continuing to watch pretty closely. But Helaine, anything else you want to comment here? Just looking kind of the macro picture here, looking at the headline index.
No, Blane, I think that you've covered it. Yeah, I think as you said, confirmed bearish trend in the short term. Waiting to see what might cause the bottom or the maybe just sideways action from here, right?
Yep. Yeah, possibly. We definitely a lot of things going on. Still a very headline-driven market. We're kind of absent a catalyst, so it's probably going to be a headline one way or the other. It's kind of impossible to predict what the headline might say. It's certainly going to be related. I would anticipate to the conflict in the Middle East and Iran, energy markets, something related to that. That's probably what's going to swing this market one way or the other. But with that said, I do want to go into our next chart here, Helaine. This is one that we like to look at from time to time to really make a point of. It's one we like to track a lot, but we don't always talk about it here. This is one of our favorite market internals charts here, to kind of really look under the picture of what this market has been doing. And so what this is, folks, is the advanced decline line specifically for the S&P 500 index. So simply what this is meaning, the line here, all this is trying to graph out and chart is of the S&P 500 stocks. So those 500 names, whether they're net advancing or net declining, on any given day. So this isn't the volume, it's just simply whether the number of stocks is increasing or decreasing. So you can see here, you can see, of course, when it's starting to rise, that means more S&P names are continuing to trade to the upside. It's a really great breadth indicator. It means there's broad participation on the upside. Of course, when you start to see it start to trend down, as you can see a couple examples of here, it means the inverse. It means that you're having, weaker breadth. There's more stocks falling than there are rising. So you can see overall, of course, over the past couple of years, we've been in a really strong bull market for the S&P. You can see a very nice uptrend in the longer term here. You can see, of course, here just in the past couple months, certainly since the beginning of March, you can see a lot of the deterioration that we've been talking about here. Under the surface, as you can see, this has really reversed quite sharply to the downside, making a very sharp series of lower lows and lower highs in the short term. But I did want to note this, Helaine, because I found this rather interesting. Looking back there's this upward sloping trend line here of support, this support trend line here. You can see that it's traded down to on several occasions, dating back all the way. I mean, you could even say from early 24. So here, there, you can see here in early 2025, when we were having some of the tariff sell-off and some of the concerns there. Again, you can see that it traded down to the support level here. Of course, in the November sell-off here, it traded down to this line almost exactly to the penny. And now here we are very, very close to it here. So
Interesting.
again, I still think that technically, just looking at the index lane, I think that it points to the downside, likely some further downside to go.
Mhm.
But I felt, that this is a very interesting chart. If we see it continue to hold support here on the advanced decline line, I think that could be very significant. Obviously, it has for the past couple of years. But of course, the opposite is also true. If we see it, crack through the support line and break down below this level, then that would certainly be another piece of evidence for the bears case. So just wanted to point that out. I thought everybody would find that really, really interesting.
Yeah, that's really interesting, Blane. I love the insight.
Yep, absolutely. So, Helaine, anything else you want to talk about, just broader market before we hop into our trade ideas?
No, let's go ahead and jump into our trade ideas. And guys, after we go over our trades, as you guys know, if you're regulars, then we jump into your trades. So go ahead and in the comments, put them in there. We want to know what you want us to take a look at. We'll also bring in that TikTok group right around the time we're done going over our trades. So definitely buckle up, get ready. We're excited to jump into it with you.
Yep, absolutely. So let's go ahead. So my trade idea for today, of course, again, as you can probably infer, at least here in the short to intermediate term, I have a bit of a bearish tilt on the market. That's kind of how I'm viewing things. Certainly that you could change relatively quickly, but I think that's just what the technicals are telling me. I'm following my discipline. That's what we do. We're technical traders. So I'm still anticipating a little bit further softness in the markets. And so because of that, I'm starting to look for some of these stronger bearish opportunities out there in the markets. And so this is, one that I've been tracking for quite some time. I don't think I've mentioned this one on here on TOD Live previously. But this, of course, is for COF. This is Capital One Financial, one of the major credit card companies, big credit card network company here. They actually, do own the credit that they put out there, so they do have some credit risk here. So interesting angle there. But you can see clearly the stock, peaked out earlier this year. It had a really nice trend going for much of last year. Had a great rally from the November lows through December into the first couple weeks of January of this year, and then it ran into very, very stiff resistance. Had a huge gap down. Shortly after making those all-time highs in the stock there, you can see the big gap down there. Continue to confirm that move to the downside. Shortly thereafter, we got the trend line to flip, giving us that profit surge sell signal here. So you can see the trend line slipping there with our 21-day drop and below the 63-day. That's our red and green lines here. Very clear series of lower lows and lower highs. The stock had some very significant support dating back to last year. You can see it traded down to roughly this level on 3 different occasions between that 200 to 205 level. Stock cruised right through it. That support level did not hold up. It's broken down to about 9-month lows here just in the past couple days. Of course, we did get a big bounce yesterday. Ultimately ended up failing. It traded right off of that middle Keltner channel and actually finished near the lows of the day. You can see it's moderately in the black here today. But still most of the trading session has been down on the day. It opened lower. It's tried to get constructive here, but again, really not too inspiring of trading here. It doesn't signal to me that there's a turnaround in progress just yet. I think you're probably still going to see some further downside in this one as well. And also too, because of where it's trading, it's above that above that lower Keltner channel. The RSI is not too oversold in the short term. So I think this is presenting a really interesting short term, or even potentially maybe a little bit intermediate term play on a bearish trade here. So whether it's purchasing a put option, selling a credit spread, purchasing a put debit spread, some play like that, some type of trade that's has expressing a bearish view on the stock. It's probably how I'd look to trade it. If I could find a trade, Helaine, that was a put debit spread, that's probably be my preferred method. This
Okay.
is about a $200 stock, so just purchasing an in the money put outright. Could be a little bit too expensive. Just depending on how much time value are in those options. But that's probably how I'd look to play this one.
All right, Blane, I really like the pick. I like the bearish opportunity. As you said, that bearish tilt is providing lots of bearish opportunities to the downside. So really, really like that play.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. And I know, as so many times we do here, you are thinking a little bit differently with your trade idea for today. Not that maybe your overall view on the market's different, but just that you've spotted a really strong pocket of strength in the markets and wanted to highlight that. So
You know,
you go ahead and hop into yours.
it seems like we always break this way, Blane. You go bearish, I go bullish. It is what it is. There's always a bull and bear market somewhere at the end of the day. So I'm bringing that bull market with ROST, which is Ross Stores. This is a discount retailer if you're not familiar, but similar to TJ Maxx, Ross Stores is in that same line of business. As we can see, there is just an incredible trend occurring right now for ROSD. It honestly, if you looked at this chart, you would not guess that we are in this correction right now in the market because it is just gliding higher. Even, the last couple of days, really pushing up against new highs. We can see that confirmed bullish trend that occurred back in August of last year. Since then, the momentum has risen in ROST, making this awesome series of higher highs and higher lows, trading consistently at or above that middle Keltner channel. And as I said, the most recent price action, if we're looking at like the last month or two, we can see that as the market started to break down, well, ROST was pushing into new highs, right? It took a minute. It pulled back to the middle Keltner channel. It traded sideways there for a couple of days. And now it's starting to break out again. And that is exactly when we're looking to enter into trades like this, right? Confirm bull trend, goes from a bit overbought, pulls back to the middle, confirms resumption of that trend. We're seeing confirmation today. It's near the highs right now. RSI, I will say, for the 5-day, it's a little hot, but there's definitely room to go on the upside. I would either play this. I could play this as a call. It would be a little expensive, right? And I would just hold it for a quick swing higher. Or honestly, typically this stock doesn't have great spreads, but because of what's going on in the market, I would expect that there would probably be enough time value to potentially eke out an in the money call option debit spread. It would really depend on the underlying options and what they're looking like, exactly the trade that I would take for this one. But either one could definitely work, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting, Helaine. Yeah, I like how you kind of framed it to start with. With Ross, the chart's so clean, great uptrend. It's Ross kind of said like, what correction? What are you talking about? This is a great trend that it has right here.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Blaine. I appreciate it. And with that, guys, we have gone through our trades of the day, and now we want to go into your trades of the day, or just things that you want us to take a look at or comment on for what we're seeing in the market. So give me a second, and we get the TikTok room opened up, as you guys always know. We bring in that crowd, and they really pour some stocks into this room as well. I know that
Oh, yes.
see you guys commenting and throwing them in there too. We love it. We are so excited to get into your trade. So just give us a moment. We're going to get set up live. You take a moment too to get those trades in there, and we are going to get going here.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, thank you all so much for your patience. We're going to get that room going here. I see a lot of great tickers already here in the Zoom chat.
I know.
And so let's see here.
Fun.
All right, should be up here in just a moment. Helaine, if you can get me added into the room.
I see you there, Blane. And we're going to get going here.
Perfect. Awesome. Let's go ahead and get going.
Okay, Blane. So looking at the Zoom room, let's see, guys. Let's see what you put in there first up. And also, good morning, Leo. Hi, Robert. Let's see. Hey, John. First up was Kermit. He's doing the first one, FLNG. Let's take a look.
This is really interesting. This is actually the one it sent out for yesterday's TOD newsletter article.
Oh.
So this was a really interesting. So this is one, Helaine, that's involved in LNG shipping. So
Okay.
they have, transportation across the ocean and storage out in the ocean. And so obviously with the conflict going on in Iran, some of the damage that's happened there to LNG infrastructure, this is one that was really, really interesting just from the narrative perspective. But of course, we're technical traders, so I wanted to obviously look at the technicals first. And so I pulled up this chart, And I was really impressed. I mean, this had already, been pretty constructive last year, very orderly uptrend, just kind of gradually trading higher.
Hmm.
Year to date, as energy had been, outperforming the broader markets before the conflict broke out, this stock was already looking really strong. And of course, ever since war broke out in Iran, this has been trading very strongly to the upside. I think there's a lot to like with this one. I think it's a very under-owned, lesser-known ticker out there. Obviously, you can see the volume surge in this one here recently. That's what these bars are down here. It's the daily trading volume. It's been
Hmm.
huge volumes flowing into this stock. It's breaking out to, multiple series of higher highs and higher lows, including a lot of 52-week highs. I think there's a lot to like here, Helaine.
Yeah, I really like this setup, Lane. Really love this chart. Really love this one. So thanks for throwing it in there, Kermit. And yeah, I think this could be also just looking at an entry opportunity. It's not currently overbought. It looks like it is
Mm-mm.
bouncing off that middle channel, getting ready for that next leg higher. I really like this. I'd probably be considering a call for this one, given the price of the underlying stock. Next up from John is asking about TSM. Sorry, I had TSN, which is Tyson Foods.
Yeah, different one there, a little bit different business. Sticking to the semiconductor trade here. Helene, what are your thoughts on TSM? This one, obviously a really well-known stock in the AI trade, but
Yeah,
interesting trading.
it looks like momentum has faded. It's out of favor now. It had a killer year, right? It had ran up into these highs that we saw at the end of February, but after then it retested that 20-day EMA, which is that middle Keltner channel. It failed the test, broke down below, started making a series of lower highs and lower lows, confirming that short-term bearish trend. Now, we haven't seen a confirmation with the profit surge system confirming that sell signal, but all signs right now are pointing to short-term bearish price action. It also did just dip below the 63-day EMA as well. So
Hmm.
definitely looking bearish from there. I would either be looking to trade this to the downside with a bearish put option spread, or if I'd be bullish on the stock, I'd be waiting for confirmation of the resumption of the bull trend.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit different than you on this one, Helene. I'm, looking
Oh,
at the chart here. Obviously, it hasn't traded well this month. It's remained the entire month below that middle Keltner channel. You're obviously seeing the trend lines converge here. It has made a shorter term series of lower lows and lower highs, but it still hasn't shown me from longer term enough trend breakdown to really flip completely bearish on this one. This would be one that, if I already had bullish positions on, I would continue to be holding them.
okay.
If I saw it break down below, if you see this clear level right here where the stock really kind of broke out and was a clearly defined breakout level, which was about 310, dating back to November of last year. It had the big run up,
I,
breaking out there.
mhm.
So if I saw the stock break down, below that just call it 315, 310 level, something like that. That was a really clear level of resistance before. So obviously it's going to serve as a level of support now. So if that doesn't hold, I would definitely start to agree with you a little bit more.
Okay.
Trade this one to the downside, but I could see this one kind of trade sideways, consolidate for a bit, and
Mhm.
then probably end up trading higher.
Okay, interesting. I like that we can agree to disagree.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Leo said, a headline that's going to move the market will be about the Strait of Hormuz. Can it be kept open or not? If
Yeah, I mean,
not,
I think that's the story right now, Strait of Hormuz. I mean, it 100%. I totally agree with you, Leo. That's, you know, whether that stays open or closed. I mean, Helaine, what are your thoughts?
exactly. That is all eyes are on that headline. It's going to be what moves the market in the short term in either direction. We're all just waiting for news, right? Like that's what we're at right now. And that's why everyone thought that we were seeing a taco trade yesterday, right? Like we're in a headline driven market at this point. Any headline is able to move things in either direction. So it's almost like watching X and CNBC to see where things are going right now.
Right. I mean, that really is what's moving the markets right now. It's just the social media posts, headlines coming out because, I mean, we already had the Fed meeting. That's out of the way. We're not going to have any major earnings for still several weeks out on those.
Mhm.
There's, still a week or so out from any major, economic reports, things like that. So yeah, it's a headline driven market. It's prime for whipsaws. So just have to be mindful of that in the trading we're doing.
Exactly. And guys, if you're just joining the room, if you're in the TikTok room, we're going to break down your trades here live. So go ahead in the comments, put in some of your favorite tickers or some that you want us to take a look at through a technical analysis lens, a swing trading lens, a momentum trading lens. That's exactly what we're doing here. We want to know what you want us to take a look at. So put it in the comments. Also, if you enjoy our lives or if you're enjoying this so far, definitely give a like, give a follow. We try to be here live as much as we can. Blane, did you want to say the disclaimer that we always say?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I get the fun part out of the way here. So this, of course, is for only educational purposes only, not to be interpreted as official investment advice. So please keep that in mind. Also, too, any of the tickers that Helaine or myself discuss during this show, there is the possibility that we may own shares of those tickers. So please keep that in mind.
Exactly. The next up from Dell is thoughts on Hub and MRK. It's a double hit.
Okay. Yeah, got a double header here from Dell. So let's do Hub first.
Oh,
If I can type.
interesting price action here for
Hmm.
Hub after that steep decline. It clearly looks like the stock has found footing here around that 460 level and is trying to break out, trade higher again on a bullish trend once again. I think this is really interesting. I think this could be the early signs of the resumption of the bull trend. Blane, what do you think?
I totally agree. I really like the price action here. It traded down pretty sharply right after the war began,
Yeah.
but did quickly find some support, at about 460, traded really sharply off of that. It's right at the highs of the session here. It's, traded back up above 500 bucks per share. I think there's a lot to like here in this chart for Hubble. Definitely an interesting setup here.
And the next up was MRK. And guys, keep the comments coming. We want to break down your trades, so go ahead and keep throwing them in. We are just gonna turn through them as quick as we can. So MRK, Merck. We finally started to see healthcare breaking out as I was hoping we would. They had a nice run. We're starting to see it fizzle, right? If you look at XLV, you can see, ouch, XLV is way worse than MRK. Oh,
Hmm.
I've not looked at that in a minute. But MRK is clearly feeling the heat from that broader sector decline. They're off their highs in a slightly downward sideways consolidation. Blane, what do you think?
Yeah, it definitely hasn't completely broken down yet. It's
Mhm.
certainly doing better than the broader sector.
Yeah.
But I really struggle with the price action with this one here. I know it looks similar to some of the other charts we've seen earlier. This is one, it had a huge run up, which, for a drug maker, a pharma stock, that's obviously a big run the stock had from September of last year through February. So it was a great run. It was due for some cooling off. I think you're seeing that here now. Again, it hasn't completely broken
Mhm.
down, but if it did crack that, call it, it's about 112, 111 level. I
Sure.
think that, definitely would signal some further downside because that seems to be a pretty clear level of support here
That
in
makes
front of the stock.
that
Um,
sense. Okay, Blaine, next up we have AXTI. That's from Israel. AXTI. Wow.
wow.
Whoa, what is first of all, I'm not familiar with this company. That's an insane move, guys. This stock went from trading at $15 per share in just the end of the year, right, to over $68. Wild move. Let me know if you know what's going on with the stock in the comments because I'm not really sure.
Yes, I mean this, it's a decently sized company, Helaine. It's about 3.5 billion at the current valuation, market
Yeah.
cap.
And Trey, we're
Uh,
looking at AXTI right now. AXTI, insane move, wild momentum.
Yeah.
These-
What are you all's thoughts on AXTI? I mean, this chart is, I mean, obviously it's parabolic.
Yes.
It's gained, thousands of percent. Here it was trading at $2 at a point last year. So,
Mm-hmm.
the stock has zoomed higher. I mean, this is just a crazy move in this stock here.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Interesting, but technically speaking, it is overbought in the short term. So if I were to be looking for an entry on a trade like this, I'd be waiting for it to pull back within the counter channel so it's no longer overbought. I'd look for that pullback to the middle, start to trade higher. Realistically, I'd be taking a call option debit spread on this because of the volatility. There's more time value in the options, it gives me downside protection, all the good things that come with it in the money call option debit spread.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, I think it's a really smart way to play this one, given the kind of parabolic moves that
Yeah.
we've seen there. Because as we've seen so many times, Elaine, you see a stock go up like that, that goes up so quick. oftentimes it ends up coming down and seeing some of that air kind of let out of the balloon just as fast. So
Exactly.
definitely have to be mindful of that. But it clearly has traded very well. So if anybody's been in this one for a long period of time, I'm sure you're pretty happy and sitting on a nice profit. But
Yep.
you definitely have to be mindful of those parabolic moves.
Exactly. Let's see in the room, guys. We're getting a lot of comments. Keep them up. We love this. So throw in the stickers you want us to take a look at. We're going through your trades live. If you're enjoying this, give a like, give a follow. We also have a free newsletter you can sign up for in the profile. So definitely make sure to sign up for that. We do options, tips, tricks, trade setups, all of that weekly. And in the comments, Blane, Bert is in the house. He said, yo,
Bert, welcome in. Glad to have you.
welcome in. And C Star said, I wonder if they are both married. We are married. Do we check?
Indeed.
Both work in financial publishing, which means that we do education on stock and options trading. We make and manage newsletters where we send trade alerts to, or we do trade alerts in our newsletters. We also do trade alert services where we manage options trades. We send out entry, exit, and trade management trades for primarily options trades to our members. So this is what we do for our profession. We love getting to be here live with you guys. So thank you all for being live. We hope you're enjoying this. Let's jump into the next trade, Blane, which is going to be from Mike. Mike in the TikTok room said, watching the charts like a hawk today and running some NVIDIA right now, and any recommendations for Palantir. So let's jump in quick.
Do NVIDIA first?
Yeah, we've had a lot of questions about NVIDIA. We just posted a video about NVIDIA, and I was saying that I think NVIDIA is on shaky ground. The reason why they've been in this this pretty wide consolidation range for a number of months since about November. And what I don't like that I'm seeing right now is that NVIDIA has tested the support level around 170 at least 3 times since December. Typically, stocks only test the support like this a number of times before breaking through that support. I'm feeling pretty bearish on NVIDIA, Blane. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because, after such a great run, it's, run up to, well over $4 trillion valuation, to keep pushing this thing higher, you have to keep finding incremental buyers somewhere. And I mean, where's a more crowded trade than NVIDIA? Everybody knows about it. Everybody knows the story. It's clearly fleshed out. It's, market's favorite stock, all those things. There's, as you said, very clear level of support below the stock around 170. It dates all the way back, not just to earlier this year, but really midway through last year. It traded down to that level in September. It did it in roughly November to try to get there in December. It's traded down to this level probably about 7 or 8 times. So it's clearly held. Generally, you don't see support levels hold that many times. You start getting down there, eventually you're going to end up breaking through it. It hasn't happened yet. But certainly I have to say, the semis have had a great run. You're starting to see some of the stocks in the semi space start to break down. We talked about Taiwan Semiconductor earlier. There's other names in there that are weaker. I think this one, it has to break through that level for sure for me to flip bearish on it. I'm definitely not ready to completely say, just completely throw out NVIDIA and say I'm bearish. But I would definitely say I'm very neutral. I mean, I think it's hard to see right now, at least for the stock, to continue to meaningfully trade higher from here.
I agree. And Mike said, I already have positions in NVIDIA. I mean, for a quick trade today, he said he jumped in at 174. He's hoping it'll surge a bit. I'm not sure. Personally, I'm not sure that we're going to see that price action from NVIDIA today. I think they've already seen that jump higher intraday, and they failed so far. I'd be shocked if they did trade higher from here unless something actually, broadly speaking, in the headline were to push everything higher. That's what I'm just seeing from the chart. Also, we had user 179 said, how do I sign up for your free newsletter? It is, there's a link in our profile. You can also just DM me for more information. I just need your email address. And then for any courses and like that, please go ahead, DM me. Let's touch base. I'd be happy to chat with you. The next one was Palantir. That also was from Mike Blane.
Okay, Helaine, I know you've been kind of all over this trade here recently on Palantir. Let's get your thoughts.
So I have been posting, if you guys saw, that I'm bullish I'm starting to feel bullish on Palantir. It's from a technical perspective. They got slammed leading into this correction. They clearly are found support around that 125 level. We saw trading off of there above that middle counter channel. We're starting to see a series of higher highs and higher lows for Palantir. And we're getting close to seeing a profit surge buy signal. I think it's going to happen in the next couple of days when the 21-day EMA trades above the 63-day EMA. Overall, I like what I'm seeing. I'm waiting for a bit more confirmation, as I said, with that buy signal, the EMA crossover that I like to see. But I like what's happening, and it's been beaten down already, right? I think that it has upside from here. Money's moving out of the trades that performed really well leading into this correction, and I think it's finding pockets like Palantir. So that's my feelings there. Blane, what do you think?
Yeah, Helaine, I think that's really interesting. I think we can safely say that this stock is squarely on your buy list, looking for some further confirmation.
Yeah.
I would completely agree with that.
Okay.
I think there's a lot to like about the price action here. I think it's struggling today just from some broader weakness across the software space. I looked at the IGV earlier. That's a software ETF. It was getting smoked earlier. I think that's probably still the case.
Right.
Was trying to recover here recently, and seems like that recovery somewhat failed. So yeah, I think that's kind of what's it's putting pressure on this one here today. But again, the price action the past couple of weeks has been very encouraging in this name. They had some good company news just yesterday. Got a really big contract from the Pentagon. So definitely some things to like. I think I would like to see some further confirmation though.
I agree. Next up, user 179 asked about HIMS and SMCI. Okay, I like talking about both of these ones.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Helaine, I know you have some very strong thoughts on the chart for HIMS. Do you want to hop into that one? I'll cover SMCI.
Sure thing. Yeah, so we had been bearish on HIMS all the way back to October, right? When we saw this breakout try to happen, and Blane and I were like, we don't trust it. All the technicals are saying that we think it's going to fail. It's going to trade down. That's what we saw. It traded down. It did get good news, right? There had been some back and forth about
it was between them and Novo Nordisk. Yeah, they were suing each other.
They were suing each other about the GLP-1. They got good news on it. I think that's why we saw the bounce, and we saw that trading offload. And I know we've been getting a lot of questions. Do we think it's going higher from here? Personally, I think that there's no meaningful reason why it's going to go higher from here. We're actually seeing currently what looks like a failure from that price action higher. If it breaks below that middle counter channel, I'm going to feel very bearish on it in the short term. If it trades off this middle channel, I'd be watching it a little bit closer, because then maybe potentially we're seeing that confirmation of a trend reversal. Higher highs, higher lows. But until I see that price action and that movement, I can't confirm it, right? We're trend followers. So I'm looking for the trend right now. We're kind of in a holding period, seeing what happens with HIMS. Blane, what are you thinking?
Yep, yeah. So it's the stock, clearly following the trend lines here. It's still in a downtrend until proven otherwise. Trend lines haven't reversed. It hasn't cleared both of them. So I still look at this as a bearish setup. Also, too, it did have that gap up earlier in March when they announced the good news about the company lawsuits getting resolved. But you can see here the price action of the past 4 or 5 days. It's given back some of that move higher that we got shortly after that. And then you can see where the stock closed on that big gap up day. We've actually traded down below that here now. We have dropped below that lower counter channel, getting back into that gap. And Helaine, we know in technical analysis, you have a big gap up or gap down on a chart. If you don't get that sustained confirmation, you get back down in that gap. A lot of times you end up seeing those gaps get filled.
Absolutely. So next up we have SMCI, but real quick, guys, if you're just joining the room, we're breaking down your trades live. Go ahead, throw some tickers into the comments, or if there's anything that you want us to talk about, anything with the market, go ahead, throw it in there. We hope you're enjoying this. If you are, give a like, give a follow. We try to be live here as much as we can, especially Monday through Friday during market hours. We also have a free newsletter. It's in the profile. There's a link. Go ahead and sign up. You can also DM me. I just need your email address to get you on the list for free option trade setup tips, tricks, all of the above. So back into it. SMCI, Blane. How about you to cover this one?
Yeah, I'll take care of this one, and I'll start off with I wouldn't touch this stock, not just with a 10-foot pole. I wouldn't touch it with a 30-foot pole. So, sure, a lot of you probably have not, or probably have rather, seen the story about SMCI. But if you haven't, it was announced last week that that was a couple of their company employees, including one of the co-founders who was still working for the company, had been allegedly caught smuggling NVIDIA chips into China and trying to, dupe U.S. customs agents, things like that, showing them phony boxes, phony
Mhm.
servers. Uh, he's obviously facing a lot of jail time. So are some of the other employees that are getting prosecuted. I think this presents a huge crisis of confidence for the company, for some of the
Mhm.
companies they work with. I mean, obviously, companies like NVIDIA, they don't want to be under the microscope of the U.S. Justice Department. Can't blame them there. I think this is a huge problem just on the headlines for the company. Obviously, the technicals didn't look good beforehand. It was in a downtrend. It was, trying to consolidate, maybe put a bottom in, and then, another bad headline for this company. They've had several of these over the years. Seems to kind of have some issues, lack of controls at the company. It just kind of continues to have these bad headlines come out about them.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't even probably trade this one to the downside, Helaine, because I think this stock does have a pretty high short interest. Obviously, it blew up last week. It dropped over 33%, so it had a third of its value shaved off overnight. Um, and so it's pretty oversold here in the short term. But again, I just would be staying away from this one.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Blaine. It's one that I'm not touching. As
Bert, allegedly.
and to say we're not trying to catch a falling knife, right? Like we just, if something's in free fall like that, we are stepping away and just letting that fall through the floor. I don't want to get cut on the way down. So that's what we tend to do, especially in a move like this when it's such bad company news. So
Right. And Helene, I love Bert's comment. He just said allegedly. Yes, so I say allegedly, folks, just because there has not been a trial yet, trying to respect the judicial process here. I will say it doesn't look good for the person they're prosecuting. I'll say that.
exactly. Okay, let's see, guys. Next up, I appreciate all the comments. Let's go ahead and I'm just trying to catch up with you guys because you're just throwing them at us so quickly. I really, really appreciate it. So next up was from Joel. Said VCX just IPO'd last week. So typically we are not trading with trend following a stock that has just IPO'd. The whole reason with that is one, there's increased volatility right after a stock IPOs, which makes technical analysis hard. But two, there's no trend yet to follow, right? So
Hmm.
we typically need more price action in order to find the trend, confirm the trend, and then trade with the trend in either direction. So I apologize that I don't have more insights on that from our perspective. Next up is going to be Odessa said, I'm getting cooked on IWM. She did the 245, 1 DTE. Let's see. Okay. And
So yeah, I
sorry.
mean, just looking at the chart here for IWM, you said, right, the small cap ETF,
Um,
IWM.
oof. Okay. I got 20 of the 250 calls, 0 DTE from 12 to 70. Now I'm getting cooked on 245 puts. Yeah, so let's see. IWM, guys, that's what we're talking about right now. And Anchor just said 245 was way too out of the money. 245. Let's see.
Well,
Yes.
how about we just focus on the chart here, Helene?
Yeah, Blaine.
Just looking for IWM. Obviously, it has gotten into a pretty substantial decline here. It obviously had some periods last year. It was nicely outperforming the broader index. Small caps were actually outperforming for
Yeah.
folks that have been making that call for some time. It kind of started trading sideways earlier this year, in late January, February, and ultimately saw the consolidation break to the downside. Generally when you have those consolidations, only naturally it's going to break out one way or the other. This one ended up breaking down, has taken out some levels of support, and you can clearly see the trend lines have reversed here.
Hmm.
So I remain pretty bearish on this one, Helene. I know it's one that we were actually targeting for some of our trade alert services to send out some bearish trades on IWM last week. We held off just because of the short-term oversold nature we got into last Friday. But I still think it looks like a pretty interesting bear setup to the downside. What do you think?
I couldn't agree more. And Blane, I have to say, you were spot on. On Friday, we were looking at this. We were like, gosh, it's so bearish, but it's so oversold. We think it's going to have to bounce in the short term. That's exactly what we saw on Monday. Look at that. So it was definitely looking back. It's smart that we held off on that because we assessed the conditions, confirmed it was oversold, knew it would probably bounce in the short term, and we would get hurt on that trade. So yeah, I really like IWM as a bearish setup, that's for sure. Next up, guys, we have so many more trades.
We have Duke in the Zoom chat. How about we do that one?
I think that we still have a couple more before that to get to.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Netflix Blane. That's from Michael.
Okay, yeah, let's do Netflix. Okay, all right. So Netflix, Helaine, this is one we kind of been on lately, have started to somewhat get a little bit more constructive and bullish on this setup here. So, we had the huge run up after they, kind of bowed out of the Warner Brothers bidding. They've traded back down to the middle Keltner channel here after, getting very short term overbought here. You see the RSI ran up to over 90 on the 5-day RSI. That is just white hot there. So you can see that here. We've had this period allowing the stock to cool off. It's, traded back down the middle channel here, consolidating just barely, You can see we actually have now printed a trend line buy signal here. It's a profit surge buy. The 21-day is now above the 63-day EMA. So that's that's encouraging. Need to see this stock probably rally from here. For me to continue to feel, really strongly about this one, but I like to see the trend lines flipping. It's very early on in that trend line breakout, but it's holding at a key level right now. But if we start to see some of those, start to see the stock trade higher, maybe later on this week or next week, start putting some of those shorter term higher highs and higher lows in. I really like, I think the setup here for Netflix is really interesting.
I really like the setup. I really needed to bounce off this middle Keltner channel to feel bullish on it in the short term. If you guys follow us on TikTok, then you know that I said the stocks I was watching for this coming week included Netflix because of what's occurring on the technicals. I just want to see it start trading higher and breaking higher again before I really start entering a position, because right now it's kind of floundering right at that middle channel. It could go either direction. I need to see confirmation before I enter. Thank you, Michael, for that comment. I appreciate it. Next up from Seize the Day is SLS.
SLS.
Oh, wow.
Not familiar with this. It's a life sciences company, biotech, pretty small one. It's a kind of a smaller market cap. It's less than $1 billion, about $5 stock. So, Helaine, not typically the type that we trade.
No.
You want to cover this one?
Yeah, typically not the type we would trade. Typically stocks that are below $10 per share tend to be more volatile and harder to use technical analysis on. But that being said, it is on a confirmed buy signal. It is trading higher. There's quite a bit of volatility. It looks like it's trying to find footing around that 20-day EMA as it's trading around there right now, right? Look, right there. And so this is once again one where I'd want to see further confirmation before an entry, right? I want to see trading above 562 to show me that it's bouncing off of that level, making its next leg higher. So that's exactly what I would want to see there before entering. Thank you, Seize the Day, for the comments. And guys, if you're just joining the room, we're breaking down your trades live right now. Go ahead and throw them in the comments. We're trying our best to keep up with them because you guys are really throwing them at us quick today. I appreciate it. We hope you're enjoying the session. If you are, give us a like, give us a follow. We have a free newsletter you can sign up for in the profile. You can also DM me for information on it.
Absolutely. Also, too, folks tuning in on Zoom, also dropped a link for a newsletter in there. It's for a $1 trial for the first month. Highly encourage you to check it out. It's a great options for income newsletter. So, we put out some of our top trades that are income focused trade ideas in there. So definitely go ahead and check that one out.
So next up from Cindy. Cindy is asking about DAL, Blane. DAL.
DAL. Okay, Delta Airlines. Yeah. So this one, Helaine, obviously took a big hit right around time the war broke out because of surging fuel costs. It's tried to get a little bit more constructive since then.
Sure. Interesting.
A lot of noise on this chart. This one, it's hard to decipher a trend one way or the other. To be honest, I'm kind of just mixed on this one. I think I would just be standing by waiting for a stronger trend to break out.
I couldn't agree more. I think there are stronger breakouts occurring right now, but specifically for DAL, it's a bit volatile. It's hard to nail down a trend. I'd want to see further price action to confirm this trend if it is a breakout. I know that we're leading into summer. That tends to be a favorable time, right, for travel and all of that. But with everything else going on, it's hard to find the trend right now. I'd be waiting for further confirmation, just like Blane said. Okay, next up, guys. Thank you for throwing all these comments in here. I so appreciate it. Thank you for all the back and forth. We see you guys going back and forth with each other. Let's see. Next up is going to be Oracle, Blane. Oracle. And this is
All
from
right.
Elmonico. Oracle is one that has been absolutely beaten down already before this price action and correction occurred, right, with the market. Before the sell-off occurred, this one had been declining after that insane run-up that we saw last September. But I want to say, looking at the most recent price action, I have been watching this one pretty closely because it appears that it could have put in a bottom right at that 135 level back in February. We have not traded below that level since then. We're actually seeing trading, new shorter term highs coming. I'm not bullish yet on Oracle. It's in a pretty wide consolidation range, so I'm waiting for price confirmation in either direction. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Helaine. I think that again, not ready to say, betting the farm on Oracle and diving in, full on bullish on this stock.
Yeah.
But it has been consolidating kind of sideways, since that, really kind of blow off type sell off that we had there in early February. It's been trading sideways ever since then. It's really, certainly the momentum to the downside has slowed. It's been just kind of staying range bound, as you can clearly see on the chart. So. If we start to see some more constructive trading, it start to try and break higher, that would be great. Definitely still neutral on this one right now. But I agree. It looks like a bottom could have been put in.
Okay, next up from FTW asked about GFS.
GFS.
He said GFS Global Foundry Service spinoff from AMD.
Okay, interesting. So some type of chip foundry company here, I would assume. Very volatile.
Yeah.
Man, this stock definitely moves. That's for sure. It's up 4% today. Just a lot of noise on this chart. I mean, it has been an overall uptrend, Helaine. I don't love that it broke down below the middle counter channel there,
Sure.
and traded almost all the way to the lower channel. It has recovered. It's tried to get back, into a bit of an uptrend. But overall, dating back to midway through January, the stock has traded all over the place, but really hasn't gone anywhere. It's almost the exact same level as trading midway through January. So
Mhm.
a little too volatile for me. Not really a clearly decipherable trend here. I probably would just be holding off on this one. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I'd be holding off for further price confirmation either direction. Very volatile price action in the short term. Blane, I have seen Big Bear AI 30 times in the chat. Let's go ahead and look at
Yeah,
it.
let's pull it up. This is one that I know you and I really, really don't like a lot here.
Um,
Um,
and
yeah.
I think specifically there's one person watching said, I'm very nervous. I'm going to lose my money on Big Bear AI. How did you trade it? Let me know in the comments. I'm interested to hear what's going on there. But let's see. Big Bear AI, the price action is confirmed bearish, right? We had that EMA crossover um, that occurred with the 21-day EMA and the 63-day EMA, confirming that sell signal. And then additionally, we are seeing lower highs and lower lows be put in. It looks like the speed of the decline is slowing, but we are still seeing fresh lows being put in, right? We're seeing those lower lows, as I'm pointing out, those lower highs as well. In the very short term, it could bounce a little bit. I would think before it trades lower once again on this bearish price action, but I definitely don't see any signs of a bottom.
I totally agree. The when the stock traded the best, it was, when anything related to the AI trade was just ripping higher. It was kind of AI mania. You can see that last year clearly. Some of the big run-ups the stock had, there were these just huge volume swings in the stock. You can see these huge inflows. I think, frankly, because it's a name Big Bear AI, it's got the right name, so it kind of benefited it from that period of time. But that's only going to last so long. I think this stock, really, it's a very troubling trend here. It's broken down below several levels of support. There's the one that kind of held late last year, right about $5.50, right? Call it right there. It cruised right through that. You had the one dating back to the September low of last year, just a bit lower, about 475. It broke right through that. Just on Friday, it set a new 9-month closing low. We're on pace to close below that here yet again today. So that'd be a 3-quarter low that it's setting up for here in today's trading, unless it recovers. It is a little bit short-term oversold here, but this is one, Helaine, that I would be staying far away from. It's definitely not one that I have any interest in purchasing, and if anything, would try to possibly look to trade to the downside. But given that it's a really low price stock, a lot of times that can be a little bit more difficult just because of the strikes that are available. Also, too, it can only go down but so far, right? Stocks can only lose 100%, so it can only go down to zero. It's already at 350, so it's not while big percentage, overall not a huge points move to the downside. So I probably would be looking for some other opportunities.
Okay, next up from M. Worth a fart. Asked about coin.
Coinbase?
Yeah, let's look at coin Blane.
Okay. Ooh, man,
But
this one got crushed today.
this one looked like it was trying to find its footing, trade higher, like start a new bullish trend, right? Like that's really what I was seeing in the chart leading into today. But this price action today, ouch, that is painful. That took out the trend in the short term, unfortunately. Not totally broken down, right? It hasn't traded below that 170 level, let's call it. If it breaks below there, would be very bearish in the short term on coin. But right now, I'd just be like standing on the sideline and watching this one play out. Blane, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. Really ugly price action here today. I'm trying to see if there was news because I know Bitcoin's down about 2.5% typically. The big crypto companies trade highly correlated with Bitcoin. But it does look like there was some news here today. It said they're sliding significantly
I
today.
just have to say, I said that person's name wrong. It's not M worth of fart. It's $1 million worth of art.
Helaine, I don't even know what to say. I appreciate the clarification. They're $1 million worth of art. I don't even know what to say. Well, I hope everybody got their daily laugh in here too on TOD Live. Apparently now we're doing comedy on the side here too, in addition to technical analysis. But it looks like getting back to Coinbase, getting back to what we're here for. It says that it looks like there were some negative headlines regarding the Clarity Act. It's working through Congress, piece of crypto legislation looking to ban stablecoin yield. So it sounds like that's what's really got them under pressure today. It sounds like let's pull up the chart Circle because it sounds like that they're down also too. Um, yeah, Circle. Wow, look at Circle, Helaine. Look at the chart for
Jeez.
them.
Oh my
They're
God.
down almost 22% today on the same news. So
Woo.
yeah, a lot of these the crypto companies, crypto exchanges, things like that, they're really taking this one on the chin. Looks like that news headline got them moving. I figured it must have been something like that. So glad we could at least figure out what was going on with those.
The next one I saw in there was for Tesla. And then I think, Blane, we're going to have to wrap up. I know we've been on for about an hour now. So Tesla's the next one. It's on a confirmed, is it confirmed bearish trend?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, this is it's one, Helaine, you spotted this one several weeks ago. It looked like it was a little short-term oversold right when we spotted it.
Mm-hmm.
So it did get a bit of a, oversold bounce, but that is all it was. There's some clear overhead resistance for this one at that middle channel, just the 20-day EMA there. Clearly a trend line sell signal here. That's been intact ever since early February, continuing to make that series of lower lows and lower highs. On Friday, we did break down below a pretty key level of support for this stock. We have recovered that level just a bit, but certainly nothing has changed in the technical picture here saying that this downtrend's over for Tesla.
Sure thing, sure thing. And Dino in the comments, I did just want to let you know that we We definitely do longer term plays as well, but when we're in these lives, we're looking at short term swing trades, right? So
Yes.
firm a trend in either direction and then do a short-term swing trade. Specifically, we're doing options trades typically, although people could do stock purchases. But that's typically the lens that we're looking through these trades for. So not to say that Tesla couldn't be a good 1 year long, year out trade, like
For sure.
entry, but just from like a very short-term swing trading perspective, it's confirmed bearish. We'd look to trade it bearish.
Yep, exactly. It's always really important to remember, which lens you're viewing a market or a setup, through, because there's your time horizon matters a lot, and what you're trying to do with the trade certainly very important. So, Helaine, appreciate you clarifying that.
Sure.
Did you say that that was the final one there?
That's gonna have to be the final one. We've been on for about an hour with
Okay.
everybody now, so I think we're gonna have to wrap it up. But guys, thank you so much for joining us live. We hope you enjoyed this live session. If you did, give us a like in the TikTok, give us a follow. You can sign up for our free newsletter where we do free option trading tips and tricks and setups. Everybody in the Zoom room, thank you guys for joining us. We love getting to be live there with you all. We love all the comments too. So we're so appreciative of your time, everybody, for joining us here live while we did today's Trade of the Day live.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you all so much for being here again. Really appreciate it here as well. So everybody tuning in from TikTok, everybody on Zoom, thank you so much for being here. Really, really appreciate it. We'll be back here live on Thursday again for the Trade of the Day live. We might be live on TikTok before then, between now and then. But again, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate all the comments and engagement. We love getting to go back and forth with you. Love getting to see some of the ideas that you have. So again, thanks for being here. Looking forward to being back here with you all on Thursday. But until then, take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your week.
Okay, see you guys.